All right. So, hello. Our next presenter is Chad Williams. He's the executive chairman and interim chief executive officer of Honey Badger Silver, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol HBEIF and on the TSXV under the symbol TUF. Welcome back, Chad.
Thank you very much, John. And hello, everyone. You can hear me back there, Michelle? Okay. Yeah, there's a saying in the music business, you have to eat your microphone. So I will try to do that. Oh, and by the way, I will not sing or play any music, so you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, good morning. It's a pleasure being here. Most of us have just come out of an SME conference here in New York, and it was great. It was fantastic. Tim back there is largely responsible for that. So big shout out to him. And one of the reasons I'm here is to try to get more attention to honey badger in the U.S. and more importantly, try to get more trading on the OTC. So this is a step hopefully in the right direction. My presentation is very, very brief and very simple. There's a very famous French writer who said, I'm sorry I didn't have time to write you a short letter. The point being is to make things simple and straightforward takes a long, long time. So as you can see, I'm not a young man. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And so all of my experience and quite frankly, the experience of our board, and I have Paolo here as one of our board members, the experience of our team is all wrapped up in this little company. Now, the main message I'd like you to take away from my presentation, if there's one thing that I would like you to remember, is if you like silver, then you will love honey badger. Okay, repeat after me. If you like silver, you're going to love honey badger. I see people nodding. If you like silver, you're going to love honey badger. There you go. And really, that's the point I'd like people to make is, I'm ultra bullish on silver. Fanatic, maybe, but really crazy. And Jeff Christian put on a very good presentation this morning for the people either in the room or online who didn't hear his presentation. I strongly recommend that you listen to it. But he's obviously bullish on silver and other things. My personal belief, well, let me tell you a little bit about me first, just to hopefully build a bit of credibility and trust and also to give you an idea of what goes behind the scenes at Honey Badger. But I'm a mining engineer with an MBA from Canada. I was a top ranked mining analyst for a long time. I worked for banks, TD Bank and so forth. And then I became a mining CEO. So I've done that, a fund manager, investment banker. And what I'm best known for recently is I'm the founder of a brokerage firm in Canada called Red Cloud. So I started Red Cloud about 15 years ago. And, Red Cloud does more mining financings, more M&A, more trading than just about any other broker. In fact, we are only mining. And so, I'm still the founder and involved behind the scenes with Red Cloud. But really the conclusion is that I've got a lot of experience in mining and a lot of experience in junior mining in particular. And so all of that experience, as I keep saying, is all bottled up in little honey badger. A thing that's very unusual about honey badger and me is that I own 30% of this company. And you will find there are 3,500 listed mining companies in the world. That's a lot. And I don't think you'll find more than 5 that have an executive, a chairman that owns more than or around 30%. It's very unusual. So, it's fine for me to stand here and tell you about Honey Badger with the hope and expectation that you buy the stock. Okay. If I and but the reality is I own the stock. I bought a lot of stock. I'm using, after tax money to buy the shares. I believe in this. I believe in this company profoundly. I believe in silver profoundly. So on the silver side, I don't really want to get into a major discussion about silver supply demand or why silver will go up or down. And quite frankly, I think that people who like silver, and there's a lot of you out there, already understand this. But just to make sure that we're all on the same page, silver uh, has the benefit of two important aspects. One, it's a currency, and the world, we all can see it, it's very obvious. The world financial system is unraveling at an accelerating pace. Okay, none of this is a surprise to many of us. I was just talking to, well, I should mention Eric Sprott's a shareholder in Honey Badger, and I was just talking to Eric a few days ago, and I can tell you he's the happiest I've ever seen him, because things are absolutely going the way that he's predicted and expected. Like a lot of us out there who understand the underlying financial system. So, as a precious metal, silver will benefit greatly. Okay. And I believe that as gold continues to go up, and it will probably, pause for a little bit or whatever, do whatever it does. But the point is, it's going to go higher as these fiat currencies lose their value relative to gold and silver and other hard assets. But I think that, gold being, let's say, 33, 35 or whatever it is, $100 per ounce, I think that's notionally and conceptually too expensive for most investors. And if we can, encourage them to buy silver at $35 an ounce, and they buy coins and it's a physical, tangible thing, I think that's going to attract a lot of the marginal investors, especially amongst the US retail and hopefully some of the younger investors, the folks that haven't traditionally participated in, what some of us older folks have seen as amazing mining cycles. There are some young people at Red Cloud, for example. I tell them that, you know, it's been a struggle, really. I mean, mining is still tough, and I tell them that in a mining bull market, stocks go up 10% a day, and they find that unimaginable. But the reality is, for those of us who have seen that, it's the truth. You can buy a stock at 10 cents, it'll go to $1, it'll go to 10, it'll get taken out at $50. I've seen it, and I do believe those days will happen again. So that's on the financial side. And then silver also benefits because it's consumed. It has unique technical characteristics. It's extremely conductive, photovoltaic aspects of it. And so silver will benefit from both of those beneficial characteristics. So about 4 years ago, I was an investor in this company. They had hit some good holes, and so I bought some stock many years before that. But about 4 years ago, I took over control of this company. We put in a new board, new management, and the thesis at that time was that silver was at $18 then, and the thesis that we had was that silver was going to go to $100. So we all sat in a room and we figured out what is the best way to profit from that. And so I kid you not, we thought about anything, buying scrap silver. We thought about investing in solar panel companies. We really thought about everything. But we decided ultimately we were going to do what we are good at, and so we had a $700,000 market cap. And so not only what we were good at, but what we can afford. So we bought earlier stage exploration assets in Canada. Okay. Then as our market cap started to grow, we bought projects that have resources in them. And today, and you'll see in a minute here, that we have 150 million ounces of silver equivalent. And if you do the market cap per ounce, that's less than 2 cents per ounce of silver equivalent. All right. So it's still very cheap, and we bought all of these projects. The next thing that you will see from us, I'm drawing a triangle with my finger here. So step one was exploration, step two was ounces in the ground, and step three is cash flow. I call it it's better than cash flow. I call it silver flow. Okay, and you'll see us very shortly with more news on what exactly that means. But at the end of the day, we want exposure to silver metal. We believe that having tangible silver metal is going to be vitally important, and exposure to that for our shareholders is critical. So that is the background on Honey Badger. Let me tell you a little bit more in terms of the details about the company. I'm showing, and the writing is really small here, so I apologize. But you can see that, again, I own a big chunk of it. Eric owns some as well. And there's a company called Blue Moon Metals, who we bought the Java project from them for shares. The driver behind Blue Moon is a guy called Christian Cargill Samard, and Christian's Blue Moon. Check out that share price. He's been outrageously successful, and he's a very happy shareholder with us at Honey Badger. And anyway, yeah. So if you look at obviously for the technical analysts or the technical people in the room, you can see that our chart looks pretty good. I've already told you about me. So on our board, you'll see that we're heavily stacked in terms of financial analysts, former research analysts, fund managers, that kind of a thing. John Hill, Paolo, as I said, who's in the room, George and Kobe, all of these guys are, well, three of them are former analysts. Mike Jalonen was the #1 ranked mining analyst all over the world for Bank of America. Mike was instrumental in us acquiring the Nanisivik project, which I'll talk about. And Steve Kibsey is a mentor of mine. Steve was a fund manager and also a mining analyst, a brilliant guy. And Dusty's our technical advisor. And Dusty's a grad from MIT. I think Dusty went to MIT when he was 16 or something. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about our assets. What I don't want to do, the saying that I have is that, if I polled the people in the room to name me the members of the most famous rock band of all time, the Rolling Stones, most people would put their hand up and go, Mick Jagger. And then it kind of gets fuzzy a little bit. And the reason I make that analogy is because out of this entire presentation, we've got 7 silver projects. Okay, you're not going to remember all of them, presumably. I don't expect you to anyway. But the concept here is that the 3 that I'm showing up have resources in the ground. Okay, they're all good projects. They all have exploration upside. They're all, Java, for example, is very close to one of the biggest undeveloped silver projects in the world called Hackett River, owned by Glencore. We're very close to them. We have similar geology. So these are, and that's the thing too, most junior mining companies own one project and they talk about one project. So in the last 4 years, while everybody else was in the fetal position, we went out and we were outrageously aggressive buying these silver projects. And Sunrise, you probably won't believe me, but we paid $1 for. And the reason is because it was sold by a larger company. They didn't want it anymore, and they trusted us because they knew we would be good custodians of this project. They don't want, some environmental degradation to go back to them. They don't want us to misrepresent their legacy, if you will, in the area. So we bought Sunrise for $1, again, when nobody was paying attention. For the people that are interested in junior mining, I'm sure you've seen that some of these junior stocks have started to break out. Some of the money is flowing into our sector. And so we would never have been able to buy these projects, even at this current time, because lots of little silver companies are looking for projects, and they're approaching us all the time. We've got, people, especially from Australia, they're hounding us because to promote a mining stock, you have to have assets, and they don't have them. We have them. Okay. These are very, very valuable, but we own them. We own 100% of them. Our holding costs, by the way, for our 7 projects, our entire annual holding costs are 65,000 Canadian dollars. All right. And the reason is because tens of millions of dollars have been spent by other operators on all of our projects. So they are essentially grandfathered in terms of spending. So I look at these things as essentially free call options on silver, but also on zinc and lead and other metals. All right. So the first 3 projects are the ones that have ounces in the ground. Nanisivik on the extreme end, I would argue, also has ounces in the ground, but I can't prove it to you using regular 43101 norms. But Nanisivik was a mine for 20 years, and there is still mineral in the ground there. In fact, Nanisivik, there's a 100 million ton pyrite deposit there that probably has 1 or 2 ounces per ton of silver in it. So, I'm not that smart, but I can do the math. That's a lot of silver. And that is not even included in the 150 million ounces of silver equivalent that I said at the beginning. So you kind of get that for free. But remember I said people remember Mick Jagger, one project. So our Mick Jagger is Plata. So let me tell you about Plata. So, all right. So Plata is located right next to the Rogue project that Snowline owns. Snowline and Rogue is one of the best gold discoveries in Canada in a long, long time, in decades. My personal belief is it's going to be one of the top 10 gold discoveries ever in Canada, but time will tell. Okay. Snowline, I haven't checked recently, but last time I had an 800 million market cap. We have a $5 million market cap. We have the road goes through our property. We have, by the way, it's the only road, and there is one airstrip, and we own the airstrip. Okay, so that should be worth our market cap alone. Okay, so now, you'll see us talk more and more about Plata. We'll do a little bit of work on Plata this summer. But we are starting, well, let me rewind a little bit. Plata, the grades of silver at Plata are so high that decades ago, people would take bags of silver ore, put it on planes, and ship it to the US for smelting, for treatment, to produce silver, and they still made money. So the grade, the concentration of silver is in kilograms per ton. Okay, very, very high grade. That is interesting, but what we're finding is that, and by the way, I will also give a shout out to the Snowline people, because we've been in discussions geologically with them, and they've been very cooperative. I can only say good things about the Snowline people. And so we've learned, well, quite frankly, Snowline is a fairly new discovery. It only started to get its momentum a few years ago after we bought Plata. So it's kind of a coincidence. We were there sort of first, essentially. I wouldn't say first. That's a misrepresentation. We bought Plata before Snowline became really big. I think that's a more accurate representation. But we are learning from their geology. And the interesting thing is, although we thought that Plata had enormous, and we still do, enormous silver potential, we're now finding out that we also have gold potential, which is a really positive surprise. And the cliche is better be lucky than smart. I think we're going to be lucky on this one. When I went to visit Plata, I actually thought it was the best, even though I've been to hundreds, if not thousands, of projects in my life, I thought Plata was the best project I've ever seen in terms of earlier stage because there were 32 drill ready targets on it. Okay. And that's because lots of work had been done by other operators in the past. But the project was dropped by others because there wasn't a lot of momentum in the area. Now there is tremendous momentum in the area, not just Snowline, but there are lots of other little companies that are making discoveries in this area. This will be a mining district, a world-class mining district, without a doubt. Okay, so you'll see us talk more and more about Plata, and we are finding very interesting things because we're looking at it differently than others have looked at it. All right, we're using AI. We've got some really smart young geologists. Obviously, Dusty, who's a really smart, not so young geologist, is also helping. But it's going to be a real, really interesting project for us to talk about. So more on that. So really, that's my presentation. I'm down to about 4 minutes, which probably will leave room for a few questions. In conclusion, we are creating, and I would argue we have created, a company that is ideal for investors to own in a rising silver market. It's almost like, I keep using the music analogy. The rule of thumb is if you want to make a song that's popular, make a song that you like. Because if you like it, odds are other people are going to like it. So this is a company that I like, that I love, that I've invested in. And if I'm right and silver rises, then we will benefit greatly as shareholders. Okay. If I'm wrong and silver's flat, or even if silver's down, we'll still be fine because we have assets that we can work on and generate news on. So the way I look at it, you can win in a bunch of ways. So I welcome you to be shareholders of Honey Badger. We are fearless. We are tireless. I had a former girlfriend who called me the Honey Badger, so you get an idea of my personality as well. It's good. It was good. She meant it with a lot of love, I think. Anyway, that ends my presentation. Do we have time for questions?
Questions?
That was a good presentation. So it seems like you've been busy acquiring things you can carry for a long period of time. Are you done acquiring? Are you still shopping? Or like this is a fun story. Can you kind of describe the next steps?
Right. Okay. So I would say I'm very happy. It's a great question, actually. I'm very happy with the assets that we have. Full stop. That being said, we want some silver flow, some silver access to physical metals. So that's what we're focused on right now. By the way, to have these 7 assets, we've looked at hundreds and hundreds of other assets. There was a 100 million ounce silver deposit in Nevada that we could have picked up a few years ago. I was very excited about buying it. I drove there and I saw a sign that said National Waterfowl Wildlife Refuge. So I started crying because I really wanted this deposit. And at the end of the day, it's going to be outrageously difficult to do any work on that project. So we didn't buy it, obviously. We look at many things. What I would like to have is 5 or 6 streams I don't want to call it I actually came up with the streaming concept 20 years ago. And what we're doing is not a stream, but it's access to silver metal. So 4 or 5 of those. Okay. And it would be nice to have a silver project that is over 100 million ounces, but the reality is we don't have we have champagne tastes, but a beer budget right now. So in time, hopefully we'll be able to do that. Yeah, I guess really that's the answer that I can offer.
What did you mean when you said you felt it was really important to have physical silver in your hot little hands? Future.
Yeah, I think again for those of us who know, if you know, you know. You know the saying goes that the paper silver market is ridiculous. So is the paper gold market. There will be a reckoning, and that reckoning will mean that the physical silver metal will be in very high demand. And those of us who have it or have access to it will be sitting pretty. I had a geologist who used to say, sitting in tall cotton. That I believe will happen. And, you know, I can't promise it's going to happen anytime soon, but the writing is on the wall for that to come to fruition.
I know that Eric Spratt was one of the first early investors in Honey Badger. John Hill turned down many board positions, and he's known as one of the most brilliant analysts in the mining industry, coming from Smith Barney originally. How did you manage to capture him when nobody else was able to?
Well, you know, I've known John for a long time, and I've known Eric for a long time, and that's the thing, you know. If you look at the people behind this company, please do your due diligence on all these people. These are smart, good people that add value, and you know, John. Yeah, like I said, I've known John for a long time. He believes in silver as well, and he believes in what we're doing. It hasn't been easy. Any mining company out there, any junior, we were talking about a little bit earlier, but you know, like Jean-Marc Loulin, for example, he's been, you know, trying to find mineral deposits for 20 years at Azimuth, and he's done it. Not only that, he's found 5 deposits, 5 different, and he's not getting the credit in his share price. So all of us in this industry have a level of frustration because we seem to be doing all the right things, but we're not getting recognition in the market. And others have spoken about it, so I won't go into that. But the reality is, you know, at times John and others are like, what do we need to do here to get attention? But, you know, I think that, you know, we all kind of see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and we're all, you know, rowing in the right direction or the same direction. And we want this company to be successful. And I would say John's one of the guys on the board that is very objective and constructive, and has a very very strong view at times of certain things, which, you know, as management, you know, we love to see that.
Chad, I have a question. So simply, in my mind, you have a portfolio of 4 or 5 prospective land packages that at this point you're comfortable with and confident as best as you can that you're now going to go about drilling and exploring and defining. So near term, are there any can we anticipate any results, catalysts, if you will, of that exploration work?
Okay, yeah. So what I don't want, so Honey Badger is unique. There is no other company that has our model. And what I'm trying to do, or what we're trying to do, is create a stock that will appeal to silver investors now and as the silver price rises. So I'll answer your question in a second, more directly. But the point is that, excuse me, Now, what's really appealing is to have this silver physical metal, I think. As silver goes to $50 an ounce, it'll be ounces in the ground. It'll be optionality. And then when silver hits 100, then it'll be exploration and the sizzle. So, for example, if you're a pure royalty company, it's kind of good to own it right now. But as the price rises, you lose the leverage and the optionality. If you're a development company, there's not much going on. There's not a lot of news flow. Okay. So, it's not a lot of sizzle. But the problem with exploration is if we were to, first of all, it's very hard to raise money. And second of all, even if we announced, like Jean-Marc was just saying, he just announced the best antimony hole ever drilled in Canadian history, and his stock was down. Okay. So why should I dilute our shareholders to drill a project that we don't have to drill, to then get no reaction or down reaction in the market? So what we're doing is behind the scenes, we're actually very busy because all of our projects, as I mentioned, were worked by others. And so we're using very valuable, high value activities to generate information so that when we're ready to drill, we will be the most efficient. Now, I do realize it may not be the most glamorous kind of work. Literally at Yava, I had something like 12 banker's boxes delivered to my house. So we're going through all this old paper data. We're commissioning AI people, and we're doing geophysics and some of the stuff that, but we're finding silver literally in those boxes. Okay, Nanisivic's a good example. The mine stopped because the zinc price went down, but there are lots of untested silver targets that they'd never gone around to because they were focused on the mine, which was very typical, right? If you've got a mine, you focus around the mine, you don't think about exploration, especially if you think the metal price is down. That was about 25 years ago. The metal price is down, and so therefore you don't have an incentive to explore. Now, we do have some interest in generating news on the exploration side. It'll come from Plata. And as I mentioned, which I think is pretty obvious, I'm outrageously excited about it. And we will do what we can with the resources that we have, and hopefully, wake people up to the fact that we have this really valuable asset. At some point, trust me on this one, if I am right and silver rises and finding money is easy, we will drill all of our projects with a lot of drills. That doesn't scare me. The time is not right now. So, it's a little bit of, it's like a winery, or let's use a winery as an example. You harvest the grapes, you make wine, you can drink it, and I bet you that's pretty tempting to drink it. But if you keep it and it gets, it ages well, that wine will be a lot more valuable, and that's what we have right now.
All right. Thank you, Chad.
Okay, thank you.
Round of applause. We have our next presentation, and just want to remind everybody this will be our last presentation before lunch. So in 30 minutes, we'll have some lunch.